Sapphira's gonna go for that Poltergeist, nearly taking Decidueye out, bringing it down to 1% health. Hello friends, my name is Frankie, and welcome to 2025, and welcome back to Gotta Drag 'em All-Stars, the #1 Pokemon and Drag Race crossover series that has our bottom queens duke it out with 6v6 Pokemon battles to see who goes home. Last week, our girl Sugarcane landed in the bottom for a 4th time, and unfortunately, lost her battle to Crystal Method, who was in the bottom for the first time. Manila continued to drop in the power rankings a little bit, placing low, while Kim won last week's challenge, meaning she's now tied for 2nd place with Manila and Sapphira still on top. We're just a couple episodes away from our grand finale, which will feature our top Elite 4 queens in a Pokeperuza Battle Royale smackdown for the crown. But before we get there, we still need to see 2 more of our queens sashay away, so let's rejoin everyone in the workroom and see what the vibes are like. Ooh, girl, what's poppin'? Hi, queens! Sometimes Pokemon get redesigned from one generation to the next. Some may even call this a makeover. For this week's Maxi Challenge, we're doing a makeover. On your marks, get set, go. I truly have a love-hate relationship with makeover challenges on Drag Race. On one hand, I think we've seen some incredible and jaw-dropping makeovers. On the other hand, this challenge is always ripe with producer meddling. Of our top 6 queens, Manila Luzon was the only one to win the challenge on Season 3, but she was also eliminated on All-Stars 4 for the Makeover Challenge, so regardless, I think I'll give the win here to Manila. Kim, Asia, and Crystal all placed high for Makeover Challenges on their original season, and of these, I'll bump Kim down to safe and keep Asia and Crystal as high for their performances on Season 10 and Season 12 respectively. That leaves us with Nina, who was low on Season 1, and Sapphira, who was in the bottom for the Makeover Challenge on Season 16, and so these 2 queens will both land in the bottom here for the first time this season and will Pokemon battle for their lives. Since neither queen has landed in the bottom before, we will go through both of their teams, starting off with Nina. The first Pokemon I chose for Nina is Vaporeon, who is based off Nina's Dress to Impress runway from Season 1, Episode 3. Vaporeon is pretty tanky with a great HP stat and a good special defense stat. It's holding leftovers to help give it even more staying power, and it'll be a great switch into incoming water type attacks with its water absorb ability. When it comes to its offensive capabilities, it'll rely on poison damage from Toxics or more directly with moves like Scald or Shadow Ball to dish out damage. Next, we have Decidueye, based on Nina's Mac Viva Glam runway look from Season 1, Episode 4, with the feathers on her forearms matching Decidueye's wings. Decidueye has decent stats across the board. It's holding the Spell Tag item, which will increase its Ghost-type attacks like Shadow Sneak and Poltergeist by 1.2 times. Meanwhile, Leaf Blade and Knockoff round out its threatening moveset. Next up, we have Noivern for her Drag School of Charm look from Season 1, Episode 5 for the purpley color palette and her sleeves and collar being reminiscent of Noivern's wings. Noivern definitely fits into the Glass Cannon archetype with great speed and special attack stats but really low defenses. Its ability Infiltrator will allow it to ignore moves like Substitute and Light Screens as it goes for Choice Specs boosted Boom Bursts, Draco Meteors, and Air Slashes. Next, I chose Skuntank for Nina's Purple Finale Mohawk look. Skuntank doesn't have the best stats, but it'll aim to be a physically offensive threat. Black Sludge will give it some healing each turn, while its ability Aftermath causes its attackers to lose a quarter of their health if Skuntank is knocked out by a contact move. And while its stats aren't the highest, opponents will still need to watch out for stab-boosted moves like Knockoff and Gunk Shot. Next, we have Mighty Yenna, who I chose based on Nina's Season 1 Black and White Reunion look. Similar to Skuntank, Mighty Yenna's stats aren't the greatest, and it definitely gets outclassed by a lot of other Pokemon. Despite this, it'll still play a pivotal role for Nina with the ability Intimidate. It also has access to great coverage moves like Crunch, Play Rough, Ice Fang, and Fire Fang, all of which will be boosted by Choice Band to help make up for Mighty Yenna's lackluster attack stat. And lastly, we have Aegislash, who is based off the look Nina wore for the Season 10 finale, with her chest piece giving shield vibes for sure, and Nina's gold headpiece looking similar to Aegislash's head/handle/hilt? Anyway, Aegislash is an incredibly powerful Pokemon with great defensive and offensive stats depending on what form it's in. In Blade form, its attack and special attack stats are amazing, but its defensive stats are low. But as it switches to Shield form, these stats swap. It'll be holding the Air Balloon to help avoid ground-type attacks, while moves like Iron Head, Shadow Sneak, King's Shield, and Close Combat give it plenty of options whenever it's on the field. Overall, Nina's team has some traditionally strong Pokemon like Aegislash and Noivern, coupled with some less popular ones like Skuntank and Mightyena. Vaporeon will also serve as more of a supportive and defensive Pokemon for Nina, with both Noivern and Decidueye weak to Ice types, and Vaporeon weak to the move Freeze Dry. Nina will definitely have to keep an eye out for teams with strong Ice type Pokemon. Alright, let's jump on over to Sapphira's team, which starts with Articuno, who is based on Sapphira's entrance look as well as her Share look from Episode 4. Articuno is one of the original legendary Pokemon from Gen 1, so it has pretty good stats. In particular, a good special defense stat. It's holding the heavy-duty boots to avoid Stealth Rock damage, and will pack some powerful stab moves like Blizzard, Freeze Dry, and Air Slash to whittle down its enemies. Next, we have Gourgeist, who is based on Sapphira's Mother Goose pumpkin look. Gourgeist has some decent natural bulk with a good defense stat and leftovers. It'll likely play more of a supportive role for Sapphira with moves like Will-O-Wisp to lower opponent's attack stats in half, and Leech Seed to sap its opponent's health. Next up, I chose Volcarona, whose wings were a spot-on match for Sapphira's flower look. Volcarona has good special attack, special defense, and speed stats. Its ability Flame Body gives it a chance to burn any attackers that make contact with it, while a Life Orb will boost the damage of its Bug Buzz and Fiery Dance moves by 1.3 times. Roost and Quiver Dance round out its moveset. Next, I chose Houndoom for Sapphira's Chain Reaction look. Houndoom is like a weaker Volcarona when it comes to its stats. However, it is holding the Assault Vest to help boost its special defense, and it'll be a great switch into Fire-type attacks with its Flash Fire ability, and it has a good selection of coverage moves as well, like Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, and Sludge Bomb. Next up, we have Swampert, whose fins reminded me of Sapphira's Fandango look. Swampert is a pretty bulky physical attacker with good HP and attack stats. It'll be holding a Choice Band, which will help boost its damage even further, especially with its strong stab moves like Earthquake and Liquidation. And lastly, we have Primarina, who I chose because not only of the general blue color palettes, but because Primarina is also a singer, with moves like Sparkling Aria and the ability Liquid Voice, and Sapphira herself is an opera singer. Primarina has a pretty good special attack stat and will really be aiming to pump out some big damage with Choice Specs boosted moves like Hyper Voice, Moonblast, Energy Ball, and Psychic. Overall, Sapphira's team is quite a powerhouse with really powerful special attackers like Primarina and Volcarona, and bulkier physical attackers in Swampert and Gourgeist. Houndoom can help neutralize Fire-type attacks with its Flash Fire ability, while Articuno may be Sapphira's trump card against Nina with Ice-type moves like Blizzard and Freeze Dry to really exploit Nina's Ice-type weakness. Okie dokes, which of our bottom queens will make it to our top 5? Let's find out. Rue, over to you.
Nina Flowers and Sapphira. I'm sorry, my dears, but you are both up for elimination. 2 queens stand before me. Ladies, this is your last chance to impress me and save yourself from elimination. The time has come for you to
Pokemon battle.
For your life. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
Nina leads with Decidueye, while Sapphira is going to go for her own starter Pokemon Primarina, but is going to swap out immediately into Volcarona to take that Leaf Blade. Here, Nina's going to swap into her own Water-type Pokemon Vaporeon as Sapphira goes for a Fiery Dance looking for that special attack boost, but she does not get it. Sapphira is going to swap into Primarina here, actually, expecting a water type attack, but is actually going to get poisoned instead. Nina is going to go for the Protect here to get a turn of toxic damage onto Primarina and also to scout out that energy ball. Toxic damage will start to ramp up slowly here and ramp up over time as Vaporeon heals with that leftovers. Nina's going to swap into Skuntank here as Primarina goes for that energy ball doing 29%. Toxic damage continues to ramp up on Primarina, so Sapphira is going to bring in Houndoom here as Nina goes for a massive Gunk Shot, actually one-shotting that Houndoom. Nina takes an early lead here in the battle, and Sapphira is going to bring in Swampert. Nina is going to swap into Noivern here, likely expecting an Earthquake, but a Liquidation comes out instead, doing some huge damage onto Noivern, giving it a defense drop. Sapphira is going to swap into Gourgeist here though, knowing that Noivern outspeeds. Boomburst comes out, but Sapphira makes a great read, and it's a normal type attack, so Gourgeist is immune to it. Nina brings in her own Ghost-type Pokemon and narrowly avoids that Will-O-Wisp, goes for a Shadow Sneak on a Gourgeist, but Sapphira's going to go for that Poltergeist, nearly taking Decidueye out, bringing it down to 1% health. Unfortunate that she wasn't able to get the knockout, as Decidueye now goes for a Poltergeist of its own and takes Gourgeist out. And Nina is up 6 Pokemon to 4. Sapphira brings in her Volcarona, and Shadow Sneak comes in, and it's gonna get some good damage onto Volcarona, but on top of Bug Buzz, Flame Body activates and Decidueye will go down. Volcarona takes a little bit of damage from that Life Orb as Nina brings in Vaporeon. Sapphira's just gonna stay in here and go for damage, Bug Buzz doing 51%, and it's gonna just let Volcarona go down to that Scald. This is not looking good for Sapphira, she's down to 3 Pokemon to Nina's 5. Sapphira brings in Primarina at this point, as Nina is going to swap into Skuntank. Moonblast comes out, and it actually does some big damage to Skuntank, taking it out in one hit. In comes Nina's Aegislash, and Sapphira is going to swap into Swampert here. It's going to take some damage from Aegislash, but it's only an Iron Head, and it's only doing 23%. Nina's going to stay in here and actually go for a King's Shield to scout out Sapphira's next move. It's going to be a knockoff, actually, which will lower Swampert's attack stat. Nina is actually going to stay in here and go for another Iron Head, but again, it doesn't do too much damage as Sapphira goes for a knockoff and gets that critical hit, taking Aegislash out and tying up the battle. That is so unfortunate for Nina as she brings in Noivern to hopefully clean up the field with the Boom Bursts, and yep, there it is, taking Swampert out. Sapphira brings out Articuno, who's gonna take some big damage as Noivern's gonna outspeed and go for that Boom Burst, yeah, 54%, but Freeze Dry will come out and take Noivern out. Nina brings out Mightyena, and Sapphira is going to go for a Protect, as Nina will go for that Play Rough. Articuno lands a big Blizzard, but Mightyena survives and goes for a Play Rough, but it's not enough. Articuno is pretty tanky, surviving on 10% health, and it's going to be able to take Mightyena out with a Freeze Dry. Sapphira has really turned this battle around as Nina's last Pokemon is Vaporeon, who's weak to Freeze Dry, but it hangs on with 9%. Scald comes out and is actually able to take Articuno out. Sapphira's last Pokemon is Primarina. Meanwhile, Nina is down to her last Pokemon, Vaporeon, but Vaporeon goes for that Shadow Ball, but it's not going to do enough damage, and Primarina will take Vaporeon out with that Energy Ball, and Sapphira will win the battle.
Sapphira, Shantae, you stay.
Nina Flowers.
Sachet away.
I didn't want the prizes, but I want other things. I want great experience, I want great friends. I'm going home a winner.
Okay, that was a crazy battle. I'm actually so shook that Sapphira was able to bring that battle back. She was down 3 Pokemon to Nina's 5. Nina, unfortunately, got pretty unlucky here, as that Swampert from Sapphira got the critical hit onto Aegislash to take it out. In fact, I think the MVP for me is gonna be Sapphira's Swampert, because without that critical hit, things could have ended much differently. But with that, we're down to our top 5 queens. Episode 11 will be our penultimate episode, where we will finally determine who our final Elite 4 queens will be. Those top 4 queens will participate in our Pokeparusa Battle Royale Smackdown for the Crown Grand Finale, which at this point is only a few short weeks away, and you're not gonna wanna miss it. So I'll see y'all back here in 2 weeks. Bye!